everybody. This is Gray here. How are we doing today? Hope everybody's doing well. So welcome to the first Sunday shift report of 2022. And I almost wasn't able to produce it because me and the family have a very busy day today. So I can't promise you that I'll be in the premiere. So I do apologize for that just in case. Just wanted to put that out front, but I know the mods and you folks are always definitely interacting and taking care of things, right? So this won't be extremely long like most of the premieres are, but I wanted to get something out being that it is first of the year for the first Sunday shift report of 2022. I got a few articles that I find quite intriguing that I want to share with you folks. And moving into the new year, I want to start something different. Usually I only down in the description, I only usually put an article or two. So every article that I go over, I'm going to start trying to link down below. So in case you guys want to read the articles in its entirety to draw your own conclusions outside of my own thought and personal opinions about these articles and how I feel about them. So they'll be down there in the description for you, and you can click on those links. Now, the only issue that you might run into is I do subscribe to some of these periodicals and things that I read. You know, if it says premium or something like that, I do apologize, but I am referencing that article, and so I'm going to use it directly down there in the description. And as of course, if you do get any value out of this, go ahead and smash that thumbs up. Truly appreciate that, folks. And all right, here we are, 2022, right? Well, first of all, I want to discuss the supply chain and some predictions. This is by Forbes, if I recall correctly. And here in a minute, I'll throw up the article. And what they are predicting, what our supply chain may look like here in 2022 moving forward. Now, there's some optimism with it in the aspect of there's some people saying that by mid-2022, things will get better, and others not so much. So it depends on a lot of different factors, but only time will tell. And the best thing to do is just be as prepared as possible for anything that comes your way. So let's go ahead and dive into the Sunday shift report, and let's start with the supply chain. Excuse me. And I'm going to bring up the article so that you guys can see it here, and then I can read it as well. All right, so here in the article it says supply chain experts weigh in on what could happen in 2022 as the crisis continues. So, like I said, it's going to be very interesting to see how things play out this year. I've seen predictions all over the place, but again, they are predictions. It says, if there is one thing that is certain about the crisis, it's that there is rarely anything that is certain about how, when, or whether it will end. But the lack of certainty did not stop these experts from predicting the future of the supply chain crisis in the new year. They're calling it the 4 Ps of the supply chain crisis. This is done by Sadir, I can't pronounce his name, a professor of operations and management at Carnegie Mellon University's Tepper School for Business, said the future of crisis depends on these 4 Ps: product prices, people, and politics. So let's start with the first one. Product availability will continue to be difficult, especially in the semiconductor and in items that require them as components. That things, let's say, you know, chips for computers and cars and anything that requires some sort of semiconductor. And that's pretty much basically everything that surrounds us that's tech-based. So they're stating that it's going to continue to be difficult. So, of course, looking at that aspect of it, I don't see any resolution here anytime soon because they are so far behind in production and so on and so forth. So I guess, like I said, we'll see. The next part is prices. Now, this is one of the things that really irked me when I read this, or I guess it didn't irk me, but it just like, it's always funny how everything always falls on us, the people, the consumers. Anyways, it says prices of the supplies will continue to be high and may even go higher in some raw materials, and companies will likely have to pass some of these onto their consumers. Key thing, they'll be passing some of these onto their consumers, to me, if not all. Inflation is here to stay for a bit and is not transitory, like the Feds had stated previously last year. Anyways, this is wages may have to be higher. And I thought that was funny in the aspect of, sure, we all would like to make more money, but with inflation being what it is, it's kind of counterproductive to if you were to get an increase. And this is the mathematical equation, which I don't have in front of me, and I'm not going to try to break down what someone makes per hour. But even with certain things like Social Security getting an increase and stuff like that for the elderly or the people that are retired, with inflation as being as high as it is, it's pretty much like they're actually making less, and they're going to still be struggling. So that being said, and as they stated, they're going to be passing on some of this price increases on us, the consumer, which most of us has seen throughout this year or the previous year, moving on to 2022. I've heard rumors that gas may still go up. I saw that they released another 2 million barrels, maybe to ease the stock market. I don't know. I don't see how 2 million barrels is really going to make a huge difference. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm not, some sort of genius or, professor in this field of things. But we shall see. And it's just like, and we're going to talk about this. This whole wages may have to be higher to combat inflation. How far does it go? How much does someone need to make on the minimum scale? And the folks that are already making that, how does that affect them? Do they get an increase as well, or do they stay at the same rate even though they may have been with the company for 5, 10, 15 years? But that's another can of worms, right? Moving on to the third one, it says people, labor shortage due to new and better opportunities absorbing existing talent, as well as a shortage of appropriate STEM skilled ones will continue to be an issue. Now, I'm a little bit confused with this piece myself. It says opportunities absorbing existing talent due to new and better opportunities. Do they mean people working from home? Is that what they mean by better opportunities? People making more money staying at home, less of a commute, and that's why I guess what do I want to call it? The actual gears of our society, the brick and mortars are going to be hit the hardest. A lot of you folks have gone to places and even restaurants in that industry have noticed like they either close earlier, they're so short staffed that they're behind, and the customer service is hit hard. And people get frustrated and so on and so forth. And to me, this kind of leads into, from my perspective, is more machines, like you've been seeing. The self checkouts. You're gonna be the worker. You're gonna be checking yourself out. Even at McDonald's and all these other places that are using these self checkout kind of systems, or as we looked as a previous video that I did with these AI possible robots, which we're going to also discuss here. I have an interesting article that I want to share with you folks in regards to that. Anyways, and I wanted to explain it because I was confused at first what STEM meant. Maybe I'm not the smartest or brightest, but so STEM means science, technology, engineering, and math. Skills are the real-world problem-solving skills you can develop in school. So STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math, because I wasn't 100% sure, and I had to look that up personally. All right, moving on to the fourth P, political. Political. Go figure, right? Anyways, it says political decisions related to mandates, inflation, multinational trade policies, and immigration, both high skill and low skill, will have a sizable impact. Companies should be alert to these moving pieces, as well as actively lobbying to gain advantage. And like I said, Forbes is not really a very conservative aspect. They're more, I don't even know how to describe Forbes, but I wanted to share this just because of their perspective on it, and share it with you folks and see what you guys think about it. If it all plays out, with their speculations and their predictions of what 2022 has to offer the supply chain crisis. So that being said, that's that article there, and I kind of want to move on past that one. And speaking of, we always talk about precious metals, right? And some people are for it, some people are against it, agree to disagree and all that fun stuff like that. But I really wanted to show something to you before we move on to the AI Prosecutor. Let me bring up the article in regards to gold. This has to do with our dollar, the US dollar, and its impact across the globe and what some countries are doing. Anyways, as you can see in this article here, it says central banks accelerate shift from the dollar to gold worldwide. Excuse me. Anyways, it says more resilient to upcoming rate hikes, holding rose to 31-year high in 2021, basically gold holdings. And this is, it says central banks around the world are increasing the gold they hold in foreign exchange reserves, bringing the total to a 31-year high in 2021. I'm pretty sure it's only going to increase here in 2022. It says central banks have built up their gold reserves by more than 4,500 tons over the past decade, according to the World Gold Council, the international research organization of the gold industry. As of September, the reserves totaled roughly 36,000 tons, the largest since 1990, up 15% from a decade earlier. So a lot of countries are trying to move off the dollar and go into a gold standard or gold backing for currency, or use it for currency. And this is why I always feel that precious metals have some sort of place here in our community, because it's always going to be valued by someone, someplace, something, some government, somewhere. Anyways, moving on. The presence of the dollar in foreign exchange reserves is falling. In contrast with the growth of gold in 2020, the currency by currency ratio of the dollar fell to the lowest level in a quarter of a century. So that, to me, that resounds with me specifically. Hopefully, it resounds with you as well. But again, I can repeat that. The currency by currency ratio of the dollar fell to the lowest level in a quarter of a century. The declining presence of the dollar is partly attributable to long-term falls in the value of the currency, and it's this gold. I don't even know why that. Maybe I'm just not proficient in the way they present this. But anyways, since U.S. Presidential Richard Nixon announced in the decision in 1971 to end the dollar's convertibility to gold, the currency's value has fallen roughly to 1/15 of its former level because the U.S. supply of dollars unshackled from gold has increased some 30 times over the past 50 years, aka they just keep on printing and printing and printing, which of course leads to all kinds of different issues, and we could dive into that for hours in regards to how that affects the economy and how it affects the value of the dollar in itself. Anyways, it says the Fed has made clear it's ending its easy money policy and projected that it will begin raising interest rates here in 2022. Yay, right? But the central banks of emerging economies are likely to continue their shift to the gold from the dollar. And we've seen Russia do it last year. We've seen other countries do it. But a lot of folks are trying to steer away from the dollar and go to gold, something that actually has value to it versus a piece of paper that just gets printed and printed and printed. Anyways, folks, something to be, I guess, to be vigilant in regards to people, who have these large savings, let's say, stuffed under their bed, dollar bills or whatnot, $100 bills, whatever it may be, or their 401ks and so on and so forth. I've spoke to someone about this recently because I'm trying to get a grasp on how detrimental it would be to these folks if the dollar absolutely fails tremendously. Now, some people say it can't happen. The U.S. will not let it happen, and I can see their reasoning behind it, but only time will truly tell. But in regards to that article, it looks like other countries are moving away from the U.S. dollar as a standard and moving into gold, and come to find out there's some other currencies that people are investing into outside of the U.S. dollar. That being said, before we jump all the way over to China and hit that last article that I want to talk about, I have two things that to me were a little disheartening in regards to the folks that protect this country, which is our U.S. Armed Forces. We're going to talk about the Marines real quick, as well as the Armed Forces in general. First article I want to bring up here, and this is to be expected. We've talked about this as well, and now we see it, starting to move forward with some of these mandates and whatnot. So it says 206 Marines kicked out for refusing the Charlie Victor, the jab and whatnot. Anyways, it says the Marine Corps has separated 206 Marines for not getting the Charlie Victor, the military branch announced on Thursday. And some folks say, well, Gray, it's only 206. I understand your point of view and what you're trying to say or what you're thinking, but again, as I always say, everything sets precedence. And moving forward, how many more will this happen to? Let's dive more into the article. It says active duty Marines had a deadline to get fully victored by November 28th, while for reservists, the deadline was December 28th. By the deadline, 95% of all active duty Marines have received at least one dose of the Victor, while 86% of the reserve force had received their first Victor as well. This means around 8,000 active duty Marines and 5,000 Marine Reserve personnel may face separation for refusing to receive the Charlie Victor. Anyways, the Marine Corps is still tracking 1,007 approved administrative or medical exemptions, Captain Andrew Wood, a Marine Corps spokesman, said in a statement to news outlets. The Marine Corps has denied 3,115 of 3,247 religious exemption applications received. The rest are still being processed, according to the statement. Some unvictored Marines call this discharge a political purge. And me personally, I would agree with those Marines. It is. I had a conversation with someone just not too long ago in regards to, they said, yeah, but we have the strongest military. And I said, but yeah, but do you see how they're chipping away at our military in regards to some of the things that they're pushing through us? Some people have called it the woke military and so on and so forth. But I thought it was also interesting that they declined the majority of religious exemption applications as well, which I thought that was, you look at our Constitution and our freedom of religion and all that stuff like that, and then you see stuff like that. So it makes you think, where as a country are we headed? Anyways, so that was, it said, like I said, it says 206, but they're also looking at around 8,000 to 5,000 more, 8,000 Marines and 5,000 reservists. So it's not done yet. And it's the same thing that we saw happen in the health field of things, with nurses and doctors. It's the same thing that we've seen across the board with all different kinds of businesses and organizations and government entities, how they're pretty much pushing the people that resist out and the people that conform in, because those are the folks that they can control. At least that's the way I look at it. They know that the people that they either have working for them are, what's the word I'm looking for? They will follow, we the government versus their own train of thought versus we the people. Less government, more people. That's how I look at how our country should be. Personal opinion. Anyways, so moving on to another article in regards to our troops. And again, this hits home for me. Because this affects a lot of people, the way things are moving on. So I'm going to bring up the article here that you can see. It states U.S. troops will receive pay cut in 2022 when factoring in inflation. And some people say, well, Gray, Corn Pop said that he was raising the, whatever they call it, a 2.7 increase and whatnot. Well, again, if you look at inflation and you run the numbers, it's not really an increase. Sure, it on paper it looks good, but when it comes down to it, it's backwards. Anyways, the 2022 National Defense Authorization Act signed by Corn Pop Monday included a 2.7 raise for service members in the U.S. military, which amounts to a pay cut when factoring in inflation. That's what people don't that people think that, oh, we got a raise, but did you factor in the inflation? Did you run the actual numbers and some of the things like the price of gas and price of goods and how far they've gone up? Anyways, the 2.7% rise in pay comes at a price as prices continue to surge for American consumers. With the latest statistics from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics showing that the Consumer Price Index has risen 6.8% over the past 12 months. And it's not funny, I'm just looking at how it was a little bit repetitive in that. Maybe I should start, proofreading this and kind of making my own statement over it versus reading it word for word, but it is what it is. Anyways, as you can see, there's another link in there. I didn't click that link because I've been watching this whole inflation thing, but it doesn't says inflation hits the highest level in 39 years as consumer prices surge, and a lot of us that are feeling that in our pockets. People are going to have to choose, let's say like energy costs and stuff like that. They're going to have to choose. Okay, well I need power or I need fuel to get to work. I need power to heat my home. Where are they going to cut back on? Is it going to be food? Are they going to be able to afford food? Are they going to be able to afford to get to work? Anyways, back on topic. Anyways, it says increases in prices have especially steeped in goods Americans consume most, with the price of food rising 6.1% and the price of gasoline rising 58.1% over the past 12 months. Man, that's crazy. 58.1% in gas, man. That's just nuts. Anyways, the situation is serious now because we have not seen this level of inflation in decades. American Enterprise Institute senior fellow John G. Ferrari told Fox News on Tuesday, which is the folks that I think broke this information. Ferrari, a former U.S. Army Major General who specializes in defense budget research at AEI, said the situation is even more dire for lower enlisted members of the military. You know, your privates, your specialists, your corporals, and so on and so forth. It says for troops at the lowest part of the pay scale, the cost of gas and food may drive some deeper into debt, or they may rely more on food banks, Ferrari said, which is a shame. The people that protect this country, foreign and domestic, will be relying on food banks? Does that make any damn sense to you folks out there watching this video? But then we have, and if you ever, I don't know if you guys are, and I'm going on a tangent off topic here, but if you guys ever looked at Google Trends, you can type in Google Trends and it'll take you to a thing and see what's trending on Google. And I looked today, and it's stuff like football and various topics like that. A rapper that got in trouble for trespassing, and some other stuff. And it's funny because these sports players make a ton of more money than the people that protect us from other countries and put their lives on the line and die for us and bleed for this country. But those folks possibly may be in deeper debt and rely on food banks. Let that set in for a second. You know, to me that does not make sense. I know, and I know some people say, well, they can't pay every soldier, millions of dollars and stuff like that. I understand, but everything just seems to me, honestly, ass backwards in this country when it comes to certain things. But I don't know. I'm not no person. I don't know how to resolve that issue. I can't say I have the idea. I have the resolution to resolve it, but still, we figure we're supposed to be the elite. We're supposed to be, this massive power of a nation. But we're going to have troops, people that protect our country at food banks. I don't know. Anyways. Yeah, and like I said, it just, for me, it just, I don't know how to explain it. It just, I don't want to say it hurts me personally, but to me, I think it hurts a lot of other folks, military families and things like that out there that put themselves at risk, and look where they might end up at. Anyways, moving on to, we're going to go overseas to the Chinese now, and some folks may say, well, this, who cares that this is happening in China? And I hate when people say that to me because everything transcends borders. Have we seen anything that happened somewhere else? I'm assuming that other countries are looking at it or pondering it or might even be working on it as we speak. They just haven't said anything about it in their specific countries because of the fact that the people might not think it's a great idea, but places like China or Russia or North Korea that want to implement things like this, the people really don't have a say. And I heard this really crazy thing the other day that there's some what is it? They call them the far left. Some far left Democrats say that our Constitution is outdated, and there needs to be something else to drawn up, something else that needs to be drawn up, because it's too hard to pass amendments because they need 38 states and so on and so forth. And I'm like, yeah, that's why it's hard, because they don't want people to put stupid things and amend our Constitution with stupid crap. Anyways, and they were talking about how this country basically needs a reset, which we've heard that the webosphere and the conspiratorial, and if that's what you want to call it, I'm not saying it's conspiratorial. I'm just saying that that's how people look at it when we talk about things like the Great Reset, even though a lot of people out there have spoken about it openly. But again, the sheep, the people that just don't pay attention, that are not observant, go living day by day and just accept whatever comes their way. Be it if you were told to wear something on your face for the rest of your life, they will. They will conform and do what they're told. But as we know, our country wasn't built on doing what you're told. But anyways, I'm going to get off topic. Anyways, let me bring this article up before I go down some rabbit hole. All right, so is this the future of the world? I ask. It says Chinese researchers built an AI prosecutor that can file charges by itself. So just let that sink in just for a second. And I know some folks can say, well, it's China. It never happens here. That's what everyone always says. It'll never happen here. Anyways, a prosecutor, an artificial intelligent AI, basically prosecutor that can file charges by itself. Scientists in China said they have developed a machine that relies on artificial intelligence to charge offenders with crimes. A machine that charges you with crimes. Shanghai Pudong, and I'm not going to say that word because I'll mess it up, the country's largest prosecution office built and tested the machine. So far, the machine is able to identify and file charges for the 8 most common crimes in Shanghai: credit card fraud, running a gambling operation, reckless driving, intentional injury, obstructing official duties, theft, fraud, and picking a quarrel or a fight. And where will it go from there is my question. What other charges will this machine be charging people with? Anyways, the researcher said that it's based on a written description of a case, the so-called AI prosecutor can file charges with a 97% accuracy. Professor Shi Yang, the project's lead scientist, said that the AI technology could reduce prosecutors' daily workloads, allowing them to focus on more challenging work. Shi is also the director of the Big Data and Knowledge Management Laboratory at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, the regime's top state-run research institute. Anyways, the system can replace prosecutors in the decision-making process to a certain extent. Shi and his team said that the paper published this month in the Chinese peer-reviewed journal Management Review, the South China Morning Post first reported the newly developed AI machine. I don't know if this worries anyone else out there, that a machine could be deciding if you're being charged for whatever criminal act, be it civil or criminal or whatever the case may be, and how far will this go, and how will this just be something that's going to be in China, or will it spread, or does it exist in other countries that we just are not aware of, this technology? And it's like I said, this goes back to, if you look at people that have, if you talk to people who work in the court systems, which I have some folks, some friends that do work in there, either as bailiffs or whatnot, and attorneys, have stated their caseloads are crazy. Everything is due to the current crisis with the health crisis and whatnot. Caseloads have gotten, things that have been, people have been charged not years ago, but yeah, a couple of years ago. There's people still pending charges from years ago that haven't seen a judge, or seen a judge but haven't, they're still fighting the case or whatever the case may be, because there's just not enough personnel, and there's so many restrictions inside the courthouse and whatnot like that. So in my mind, would some of these people in their head think, well, that would be awesome for a machine to do it versus we having to do it, which will save us time and money and all the other stuff like that. Do you see how someone would think this is a great idea, not really understanding or thinking of the long term repercussions of what could happen? As we've seen cyber hacking and all this other stuff that happens, you could just be someone, a law abiding citizen. The system somehow gets hacked and you get basically missed or thrown under the rug, hit with charges, and ran through the system without ever having committed a crime. This is how I look at it personally. But I don't know. I'm going to try to keep an eye on this and keep certain keywords referenced for me to keep an eye on, see where this goes. And like I said, it may be years down the road, maybe 5, 10 years, or maybe sooner. It's hard to tell, really, to be honest with you. But to see how this plays out, not only in China, but across the globe. Anyways, folks, like I said, that's the Sunday shift report for 2022. A little shorter, only about 30-35 minutes long. And just wanted to touch on some of these articles and see your perspective. I will be if I don't make it to the premiere, I will be watching the replay to see what you guys were talking about and your opinions. Also, I'll be reading the comments down after the shift report ends. I'll be looking down at the comments and seeing some of your comments and stuff like that. Most of them are good, and I'm pretty sure some people will agree to disagree or disagree to agree or whatever, however you say it, man. But anyways, truly appreciate every single one of you folks for hanging out with me on this Sunday afternoon. And if you can, like I said, smash that like button if you choose to do so. If not, I understand. It is what it is. And let me see, what do we got going? Tomorrow is Monday. I got some things going on this week. We'll be live on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Probably topic specific. I do have a couple of guests lined up here moving forward in January, but I'll allude to those probably on Tuesday once I get some confirmations on some other things that I got working on. Anyways, I wish everyone a blessed afternoon or evening or whenever this video finds you. And I guess we'll see how this new year in 2022 plays out. Other than that, this is GreyMan. I'm out. I'll see all you folks on the rebound. And again, God bless and stay safe out there.